Ah, the Castlevania map screen. It was redesigned for original mode because you no longer follow the path that Simon took in Castlevania 1. Then they redesigned it again for arrange mode for no reason. I took an intentional game over after completing the last block because that's the only way that you can save this game. So I'm starting back with no upgrades and no sub-weapon. Gonna start each video fresh. It'll give me more opportunities to show off the various sub-weapons and unupgraded Simon, things you rarely see when you play Castlevania. Our soundtrack is, again, a very different take on the level theme of the original mode, but in the opposite direction this time. It's now very chill. Sort of proto-vaporwave. I really enjoy it. What I don't enjoy is the booger wall. So here I am whipping it as fast as possible. But here I'm going to try a different method, where every time it makes a sound cue, I will whip again, and that gets me through slightly faster. But regardless, it offers no challenge whatsoever. It just slows you down, wastes your time. It's very bad design, and it looks completely out of place for this level as well. I don't know why it's there. The falling stalactites pose no threat, you just need to climb them to get on top of this platform, but ducking just beside that platform summons another one of those crowns. And there's a bat there to knock you off on your way to get to that crown, which will cause it to despawn before you can get to it. So you gotta dodge that bat carefully. There are 10 or 11 items hidden in that fashion in the entire game that I know of, but maybe we'll find more. This stage begins with a branching path. The upper path is dramatically easier. These green demons will fly up to you from the background. Just whip them whenever they appear, they go down in one hit. And eyeballs will also bounce into the pools of water. They take 2 hits, but you can get both of them while they're trying to unfurl their tails, so they're harmless. We also find the headless skeleton of a dragon. It had a candle inside of it that dropped a knife. We don't want that. And we can play with the wing by whipping it. But we want to see the rest of that dragon. So I'm going back and taking the lower path instead. The upper path just repeats the pattern we've seen a few more times. God, every time I see those demons, all I can think of is this sound.
Target!
I don't know, maybe it's just me. The first benefit of the lower path has made itself clear. We got a new sub-weapon, and a delicious invisibility potion. Obviously a misnomer because it makes you invincible, not invisible, but it is placed perfectly to make those 2 worms hit each other, and not you. Here's the rest of that skeleton, guarded by another worm. But from here we can play with its tail, which is much more fun than the wing that we can play with at the top level. Hopping over the worm's pit while it yet lives gives you a 10-point daredevil bonus. But there's no real benefit to playing hopscotch with it like that. And once you kill it, you no longer get the bonus. You do make it stop with the irritating beeping noise, but you can also do that just by leaving the area. It's not like it's gonna follow us. Didn't have much use for our new sub-weapon in that last area, but it is the most popular and beloved of the classic franchise. It's called the Boomerang, but it is best known as the Cross, because it is cross-shaped. Does about the same thing as the knife sub-weapon, direct damage in a straight line in front of you, but it penetrates through enemies, can hit twice on the rebound, and can hit behind you if you choose not to catch it. So preferable in every way. Even has the same ammunition cost of 1 heart. Also, this Skeledragon that I've been fighting marks the convergence of the upper and lower paths. If you take the lower path, you can just ignore it, but there's a good reason to fight it and get past it. Also on hard arrange mode, there are 2 Skeledragons there. It's probably a trick that they pull in the second loop of original mode, but I haven't gotten that far yet. Anyway, once you get past the Skeledragon, there's this character that I'm gonna call the Merchant. They will give you a prize of your choosing. Just whip them till you see something you like, then whip that thing, and you can have it. If I'd whipped them one more time, they would have just taken their items and left without giving me anything, because even the one kind soul here in Castlevania has their limits. But now we're at the very end of the current stage, which has no visible threats, but if we don't duck there, those stalactites will sweep us off the platform where we will drown. This gray hallway unceremoniously acts as a checkpoint, and whipping this lion statue is the exact moment that original mode gets extremely difficult. It causes the room to fill with water at a preposterous rate. The platforms whizzing by in the background, if any of them touches our raft, it will tilt upwards and lose one of its logs. So you have to pay attention to those, which is impossible. You have a millisecond to react. All while more and more mermen are jumping out of the water and spitting fireballs at you. Luckily, Pink Hair Simon doesn't get knocked back when he's hit. But original Simon will probably die if he gets struck even once throughout that section. At this point, the raft is completely obliterated, so you have to do a little bit of platforming to get on a new raft. And the boss fight music begins. The dragon skeleton, not to be confused with the Skeledragon, seems to have found his head, and he's not happy that we smacked his bones around while he was unconscious. He mostly tries to kill you not through damage, but by, again, tilting the raft and covering it with fire, which is a big problem if you're original Simon, but no problem in arrange mode. Also, he's extremely brittle from being dead for so long. So I decided to wrap that fight up quickly because the time limit started making a horrible, unbearable noise at me. Probably gonna turn that thing off after all. We're another step closer to Dracula, and not a moment too soon. In fact, several moments too late. Please enjoy this palate cleanser of the original mode's confusingly named cave theme.